Welcome to the American Made and Paid Show, the home of free speech and independent thought.
The big story is freedom of speech is really in trouble. The far left knows that at any time they can call for a sponsor boycott of anyone they despise.
It is right here, right now, where you'll get your weekly dose of unfiltered truth.
It's non-negotiable. Pre-existing conditions will be protected. This president has said this as a candidate.
Insight.
Very few people I know could have handled it. We can never, ever let this happen to another president again.
And information that challenges the American way of life.
All right, welcome everybody to the American Made and Paid Show. Thank you for joining us today and making the American Made and Paid Show a part of your daily listening diet, I guess. That's a new intro here. Got Professor Dreg with me. I'm your host, Zach King. We're going to talk a little bit today about police suicides. Now, we've covered police officers very extensively on this show, kind of talked about, how they are, I guess, the strong arm of progressive cities, talked about to some degree what they stand for, what they do, and a lot of times criticize their incompetence as well. Now, I'm not against police officers. I just want to say that very, very clearly. I think most of you who've been listening to me for a while know that I'm not against police officers, but I am advocating for the fact that they are, number one, better trained, more educated, number two, and that we don't just put firearms into the hands of just crazy people, because clearly the barrier to entry is not as high as it could be. We've talked about the education level. We've talked about, dangerous situations involving cops. And Professor Dreg, you brought up something about police suicide. So can you touch a little bit more on that, since that's probably going to be what we talk about? We've talked about cops and their jobs, but police suicides, I feel like it's swept under the rug a little bit here.
Yeah, well, not a little bit. This is a huge, huge issue. And let me start off by saying the reason why we have to cover this is because we made the claim that progressive ideology is death.
Right.
And everything about them is death. Abortions, killing babies, that's death. How they view with the educational system, taking, no more Pledge of Allegiance because of the word God. Not even school prayer. It's just the Pledge of Allegiance because they mention God. Whoa, got to take it out. And that's death. And part of me realizing that there's a real God, and I don't understand it, most of it. And it's the truth. I don't understand it. But realizing it, I totally am starting to see why there is a death culture on the streets.
Right.
And part of that death culture are the cops. Because why? The biggest police forces are all in progressive cities. The progressive cities use the police as the tax collectors against the poor.
Sure.
And they collect the taxes by any means necessary. And one of those means is through shooting people and
issuing parking tickets and
but it's the truth.
It's the truth. We've talked about that extensively here. And,
So I'm working on a case right now and I could talk about the city of Vallejo, right? Okay. And that's a real progressive, dump. And a lot of crime, a lot of whatever. But I discovered a video, and this is on YouTube. It's a cop, chasing some dude who was on a bicycle. And eventually the guy on the bike gets trapped in some kind of alleyway or like a park. And the cop is all by himself.
Right.
So he starts tasing the guy and then, starts tasing the guy hits the floor. But then for whatever reasons, the cop doesn't talk. He doesn't de-escalate the situation. He just automatically went for the taser. The guy went down. And for some reason, he let him up. Because maybe he was waiting for backup to handcuff him. I don't know. But either way, the guy recovered. And, so the cop was white. The suspect was black. And it's important because it really is important to note race here because it sets up the mentality. So the police officer was tasing him, and he had a flashlight in his hand. For some reason, he didn't handcuff him, didn't use any words to, hey, stay on the ground and let me handcuff you or whatever.
Yep.
Long story, I know.
I heard that. Hey.
Anyway, so long story
Go ahead,
short, the black guy took the flashlight away from the cop, and I don't even know why he went for the flashlight, but he did. And he took away the flashlight. Maybe he thought it was a gun. I don't know. But either way, the black dude took away the flashlight from the cop. So that cop ended up shooting him. And I don't know if the guy died or not. They don't show that part. They just show, because it's on YouTube. If you guys want to, search, Vallejo police officer shooting or whatever, like the police department literally put it on there to justify what happens. Like, see, at this point, the guy, whatever, the suspect takes away the officer's thing. But here's the thing that people don't like, the Vallejo Police Department doesn't realize. The dude should have used de-escalation techniques. The guy should have never went chasing after him by himself.
Right.
That's the thing. Like, remember we were talking about this. These cops only make $260 a day to put their life at risk.
Sure.
And for $260, you're going to tell me I'm going to get beat up by some dude? Like, because I don't want to say
tough job. I mean, it's a tough job. And unfortunately, in a lot of situations like that, they're not even adequately instructed to defend themselves properly. De-escalation is one thing, but it's like in a dangerous situation.
Well, see, but that's the point. De-escalation is the most important technique. You have to be able to verbalize to people before you use physical force, because, like I've been in situations because, I work in the club industry, and there was I'm not kidding you. There was some dude in the ladies' bathroom, and I'm not a big imposing person. I'm super skinny. And I used to be super skinny. Now I'm just skinny. But anyway, so this dude was starting shit with this girl in the bathroom, and everybody's like, hey man, get him out. And I was like, hey, look, you're in the ladies' restroom. I don't want any trouble. You're a pretty big dude, so can we just agree just that you walk out? And the dude goes, what? And he swung at me, and I'm thinking, oh man. So I just stepped back. He missed, and then with his own power, you know how like you do a right hook with all your might. So because he missed me, he spun. When he spun, I put a little Cobra clutch on him. And if you guys know who Sergeant Slaughter is from the WWF in the old days, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so anyway, she makes an appearance. She's like, hey, I'm back. But anyway, so I put him in a little sleeper, but I don't put any pressure on him. So, hey, look, I got you. You cannot move. Can we just go? I'm going to let you go, but we're going to walk out of the bathroom. No harm, no foul.
Right.
And I said, I swear to you, do not swing on me again. I'm going to let you go. No harm, no foul. I told him twice. Anyway, and then as soon as we walked out of the bathroom, that guy just turned around and swung at me again. I'm like, oh, man. So then, again, he missed because I stepped back.
Right.
Put him in the sleeper, but this time I banged his head against the phone, because in the old days we had phone booths. Pay phones. So I banged his head on the pay phone that was all against the wall, and I'm like, look, I'm gonna let go. This is the second time you already swung at me and you missed. I said, do not swing on me again, because you will get throttled, not by me, but by all of these dudes around looking at you, who are a lot bigger than me. And I said, are we cool? And he nodded his head up and down like he was cool. So then he turned around and he goes, now what? Come on. And as soon as he said that, about four of the bouncers, they just throttled him. And they just threw him out the back way. And I'm thinking, but you know what I mean? But there are times to use force.
Sure. So keep going, but how does this relate back to police suicides?
Well, see, but that's the point. See, police are not trained to give people multiple choices, like
options,
right?
Options to de-escalate. Yeah.
You're not, because look, the dude was bigger than me. He had like 80 pounds on me. I would have destroyed him. But because I'm confident in my skills,
Do you
I'm
think?
not gonna just.
Do you think cops just lack behavioral skills training? Is that the big?
Well,
thing?
no. I'm talking about physical fighting skills.
No, I know, but at the same time, that's obviously not always going to be the option to de-escalating a situation.
Oh, no. But okay, you can't use de-escalation techniques if you don't have, some sort of confidence in your fighting skills. Like if you know you could disarm a person with a gun or a knife, you're not going to be as scared as a person who has no training at all.
Right.
And most cops, like this cop on the video, you could tell he has no behavior. Like, look, he doesn't have an education. and obviously he doesn't have any fighting skills. So he's automatically afraid in his situation. And that's why they use deadly force. He used deadly force, whether this guy is dead or not, that's, it's irrelevant to what we're talking about. But the thing is like this, without physical training, and this is why I'm a big advocate for every single cop. Like if you want to be a cop, you have to bench at least, and I mean a minimum of 305. Because if you can't bench press 305, if you can't squat like 650, then you have no business being a police officer. Because 650 is nothing. 305 is nothing. That's not even 3 plates. It's like 2 plates and maybe a 35 plate or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not much. But here's the thing. Because these guys lack training, a lot of these people, these cops are involved in, they call them, police officer shootings, like a POS, police officer shooting, whatever, or OID or whatever. I forget the acronyms that the people use. But because of this training, because of the things that we've been saying, and this is something only unique in progressive police departments. In progressive cities, you don't find this in conservative, Christian cities, because the cops are Christians. So because the police officers are Christian men, they're going to respect the Constitution. They are going to, if they're going to give you a ticket, they're going to give you a ticket. They're not going to search you for other crimes that you may or may not. Because here's the point. Christian cops do not act as detectives. All they want to do is protect the people. That's it. That's all they want to do. And, for the most part, and that's why in, conservative cities with no hint of progressive ideology, you will see that town or city is just like Mayberry, like from the Andy Griffith Show. And that's a throwback show from like the 30s or the 40s. But that's reality. That is what Christianity brings to your society. So we are now talking about cities ran by the devil. And I'm not kidding you. It's the truth. With the carnal mind running amok in these progressive cities. So let me give you some stats. These are real stats given by this organization called bluehelp.org.
Yep.
And people are really trying to do their best to give mental health services to police officers. But okay, so in the line of duty, these are all the deaths. So in 2016, 64 police officers across the country were killed by gunfire. Bad guys shooting them. In 2017, 45 cops were killed by so it went down a bit by 20. But then in last year, in 2018, 52 cops were shot to death. And it happens, so there was an uptick, and we know 3 of those cops were in Dallas during that parade, the Black Lives Matter parade. You know what I mean? Another progressive type city or whatever. Because everybody thinks Texas is this big bastion of conservatism, but it's not. Texas is like 55% conservative and 45% progressive. So there's a lot of, but anyway, so, this is like, might be a little odd. How many cops do you think died by being struck by a train?
I don't know. I mean, what's the data?
No, but that's funny. 0 in 2017, 1 in 2016 and 2 in 2018. So, you know what I mean? That's just a freak accident. Vehicle pursuits, you know, like them getting like, you know, high speed chases or, you know, just being chased down. There was 4 in 2016, 6 in 2018, and 5 in 2017. You know, people trying to run over cops with their car, 13 in 2016, 6 in 2017, and 8 people were struck, you know, to death with their vehicle assaults, 8 in 2018. Let's see. Automobile crashes, just like, you know, a lot of cops just don't know how to drive. It's a big thing. And so 20 in 2016 and 26 in 2018. That's a lot. Motorcycle crash. Because, you know, when we were doing research in Salinas, that's the only time a police officer has ever been killed in a line of duty in Salinas, California. A cop was on his motorcycle in the rain, slipped, hit a tree, and he died way back in the 50s. But anyway, but nationally, 3 cops in 2018 died with motorcycle accidents. What else? Exposure to toxins, 0. 1 in 2017. Oh, 9/11 related incidences. So this is unique to New York and New Jersey.
Sure.
14 died in 2018 from the toxins from 9/11.
From the fumes. Yeah, but with these are all deaths. These are not suicides. So let's talk.
Yeah, but okay. So now remember those numbers. This is my point. The highest number being gunfire, 52 in 2018. In suicides, right? That's why I'm giving you numbers here. There's reasons why I'm setting this up. In the suicide rate for cops nationally in 2016 was 140. Remember, in 2000, the highest, the next lowest would have been the next, you know, highest number of deaths during that line of duty would have been 64 in gunfire. That's insane. 140 suicides versus 64 gunfire attacks. That's insane. Do the math. 64 times 2, twice as much. You have twice as much likely to kill yourself if you're a cop than you are getting confronted by some dude in the streets. In 2017, the gunfire attacks was 45. You know, and the suicide rate was 159. So 159 cops committed suicide in 2017 versus, and if you add up all the numbers, 6 vehicle assaults, 5 vehicle pursuits, 1 unidentified death, 4 people struck by vehicles, you know, given tickets, 1 person struck by a cane. You know, with the knife attack, you know how many people died from being stabbed to death as cops in 2018? 0. Only 1 in 2017. So, you know, more people die of heart attacks. There's 16 heart attacks during the line of duty. So when you add up heart attacks, gunfire, drowned, automobile crashes. So like it's amazing how heart attacks, automobile crashes, and suicides, which is all something a cop could have prevented, it's way higher than what other people do to them. It's insane.
Right. So I see what you're saying. These are all preventable deaths and things that were brought on to themselves, you would say, as opposed to being caught on the streets.
17 people died of heart attacks on the line of duty. How many police officers died of heart attacks? That's a lot. 17. That's a lot. That's more than you're gonna look. You have a higher chance of dying of a heart attack than you do of getting stabbed to death, or being chasing down a criminal. So, but I want to focus on suicides because in 2018, the same number, 159 people committed suicide. That's insane. That is more than every other related online death, line of duty death for cops. More than all of them combined when you add gunfire, accidental gunfire, dog attacks or other animal attacks. You know, everything you can think of. Suicides are the highest. And that's totally preventable, obviously, but it goes back to what we had said earlier.
What's the why here? Is this basically just diving back into progressive culture?
But here's the thing. These cops are given no training, no education, but given a gun and a permit to kill.
Right, right.
And these cops, I mean, how many police officer shootings that involve, you know, that actually kill people happen every year? It's a lot. It's way more than the suicides. But, and here's the thing. And the reason why these numbers keep going up every year is because it's the same thing. And I spoke about this before earlier, in earlier episodes, you know, when we're talking about the military and why I'm against fighting, because the human mind is not made for killing people.
Right.
It's not. And the thing is, when you talk to an officer who's actually killed somebody, I guarantee you this, because we spoke about this before, how that one cop, he killed, you know, that one lady's son. The dude was crying because, you know, even though it happened years ago, he's still crying about it. Why? Because, and I think this is why it's one of the commandments, thou shalt not kill. You know, and there's a reason for it, because the human mind cannot comprehend killing somebody, watching somebody. I'm telling you now, like, and you know, I'm a trained medical professional, and I've seen people, you know, pass away, you know, because, like, dude, I seen a dude die from constipation.
Right.
It's dude, like, certain things will always haunt you. Just watching people pass away.
Yeah. I've seen it with my own eyes. I know what it's like.
Yeah. So, you know what I mean? And when you're responsible for killing somebody and they're bleeding out, dude, it's a scary thing to watch. It really is. And you know, these cops, you know, they have no training in this. So for years, they're walking around with this image that they are murderers, they are killers. And then they take it on their wives, they take it on their kids. And eventually it's just too much for them. And they live with this for 10 years, 15 years. And then by the time they hit 40, 45, they've had enough, and boom, they kill themselves. And you know, I mean, you know, it kind of makes you wonder. It's like, do these guys go to hell? Do they go to heaven? What happens to them? You know what I mean? Because there is no justification for killing somebody. There isn't. I don't care what a person does. He could be the worst child molester. He could be the worst, you know, murderer or whatever. I can't think of anything worse than a child molester. But, you know, whatever these people are, to kill somebody, it's not the answer. It's just not. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a hell for a reason. But the thing is, these people are in dire need of not just help, but they, you know, like, I hate to say this, but I honestly believe that there has to be some sort of, I don't want to say religious training, because, you know, they'll say, oh, it's against the Constitution, but there has to be some sort of at least constitutional training and a religious training that is, you know, coherent or complementary with the Constitution. And the only one I can think of off the top of my head would be some sort of Christian type of training where people understand, you know, the why and how to use force.
Right.
That is actually I don't want to say biblical, because I think it's more like a Jesus saying.
Yeah.
You know, like about turning the other cheek and doing all these other things. Like, people have to understand these things in their policing. And that is the only way. Well, you hate to say things like this, but because conventional wisdom is this: criminals are always going to be bad, blah, 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 blah. But that's actually not true.
Right.
Because with so, and this actually comes back to education. In the old days, it was commonplace that there was some sort of like religious training in the schools, in the public school system.
Right.
And and I think in black schools, there was more Christian training than there was of science and math.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I think they were so good at agriculture, it was just second nature, so they really didn't break it down.
Well, you want to also know something that I have to mention, because I want to hear what you have to say, but I also have to add that Christian training, you've said it yourself, when you look at biblical principles of how to treat each other, how to live, how to manage money, how to run business, that all used to be part of our education. That's what produced independent thinkers and innovators. And like, dude, you ask any innovator, it's like any really ridiculously influential person, there's the element of God. Okay, Da Vinci did what he did because he was talking to God. Michelangelo did too. And part of our education system before the American atheists took over was, dude, prayer in schools. Like, and here's the thing about the prayer thing. It's communal, and it encourages almost like brotherly love for one another. So even without being explicit, people are going to have a good guided sense of morality because it's coming from the Bible. It's coming from truth. And that's gone. So you know how at the same time when all that happened, people are always like searching for truth and searching for what's right and everything. Yeah, because it got taken out. And people are only finding out about it later because we removed it. It hasn't been like that for like 80 years or 100 years.
Yeah, exactly. Because somebody was telling me that, and I, because this dude is an expert in education, but he was telling me how in the old days, they literally taught out of the Bible, and they, like, biblical parables were actually English assignments. That's what they said. That's what he told me. And I was like,
I believe it. I believe it.
Like that. They didn't have like Shakespeare. They had biblical parables.
Yeah.
And that was their English assignments. I was like, you're kidding. It's like, no, that's how it used to be. And I'm like, wow. But either way, but that's my point. So the reason why we're talking about education right now is because like those 10 rules for radicals or the Communist Manifesto or whatever,
mm-hmm.
The number one thing, and we have to say this, communists are all atheists. Mm-hmm. They believe in, no God, no, just like me, how I used to be. There is no God. There is no hell. There's no heaven. There's nothing. There's no evil. There's no good. Everybody's neutral. You know what I mean? And it's just upbringing, like your genetic predisposition of things is going to determine how you are. That's how, because that's what science teaches.
You want to know what's also required reading in school, since you touched on that? You ever read The Giver? That's communism. I mean,
what's that about?
It's like a dystopian future where people can't have memories or emotions or anything. It's given by the giver. And I mean,
who wrote it? That sounds stupid, but funny.
Lois Lowry. I mean, no, this was required reading in 5th grade. We took that out and we put in books like The Giver, George Orwell, 1984, Animal Farm, which actually I don't mind. I think Animal Farm, that's kind of like what you don't want, right? But
yeah, and same thing with 1984.
You do. I think that's important and all that. But we got books like The Giver. We're reading out of Shakespeare and everything. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's like, man, if you're gonna go for that kind of stuff, you might as well put biblical parables back in.
Well, see, but that's the point. They wrote those stories trying to warn people: if you take God out, this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the Brave New World.
Yeah, Aldous Huxley. That's great.
Yeah, no, and that's like those types of stories was a warning to not take religion out. And we're like, but anyway, so that was so weird. Like in Brave New World, even the thing was called Soma, and I'm thinking, and there's literally a medication named that. But anyway,
no, Brave New World is trippy because it's just like,
yeah,
and then the guy runs to like some other reservation, he like leaves the city or whatever, and then I read Brave New World a long time ago, but it's
but those are good books. Like Animal Farm 2 was a political it's a political book.
Yeah.
And they're talking, but anyway, but going back to this education aspect. So the whole point for communism to be successful is to, you got to be an atheist. But their whole plan is, the first step is you have to take over the educational system. And that's what's happening now. It's happening like they've been working on this since the 60s. And now it's, forward to 2020. It's already been 60 years. So 60 years into the future, they're succeeding.
Yeah.
God and religion is out of the progressive cities. They have armed a bunch of illiterate, immoral people because, look, I mean, like I said, I'm no saint. I don't really know the Bible, but, so I guess I'm immoral too. But, I'm a sociopath. I already said that. But this is the point. These cops who kill themselves, that's proof that they're not sociopaths, because they want, okay, so the end game for progressive ideology is to turn everybody into a bunch of sociopaths.
Mm-hmm.
Because, when you're an atheist, you literally shut off your soul. Like, you have no, like, you don't know, like, there is no such thing as good or evil. It's just, like it's animal kingdom, like all animals attack each other. It's just part of science. It's a part of evolution. It's a part of, what's supposed to happen. So the purpose of overtaking the educational system is to turn everybody into a bunch of robots with no feelings, no soul. They just do what the giver tells them to do. I'm without even reading that book, The Giver, but I'm pretty sure the giver would have a police force that would be that would mirror what we see today.
Mm-hmm.
So the police force, come on, these dudes, they have a gang mentality, and that's what they successfully done without God.
But here's the thing about police without God, right? Even though I am advocates of policing, like I said in previous episodes when we've talked about the incompetence of police officers, the injustice that's caused because of a lack of training, like police has become a thing where we take people and we turn them into police officers, and almost they almost don't become civilians anymore. They just become people who uphold the law and are vigilant in protecting communities, or detectives, right, going after people. Whereas when we've talked about this in the old days with context, right? Well, civil government at the local level should be law enforcement, where it's number one, training by competent individuals, but people who actually want to do it. So a form of self-policing, a form of like community policing, kind of like what we've always talked about with the old days with the sheriff, right? It's like, but the sheriff was also, I don't know, the guy that ran the grocery store, and his deputies, his deputies were the saloon managers or the innkeepers and stuff. It's like, hey, this guy is running wild, robbing people's homes. Let's go get him. They'd grab the wanted poster, and he'd go get the innkeeper. He'd go get the guy from the liquor store, and then they all go after them. But what I'm trying to say is, it's not like an industry. Therefore, it's not going to be corrupted at a large scale. Because, you've talked about scaling back the police force, right? We've talked about how the mayor is a strong arm of this police force. And if you got a progressive mayor, then, when you have Antifa attacks in progressive cities, they're not going to do anything. They're literally these anti-fascists, as they call them, right? Even Keith Ellison, that guy who supports them, attacking people in the streets. That journalist, Andy Ngo, that got attacked, he had brain hemorrhages and everything. Police were told to stand down 100%. And I think that for people who aren't psychopaths, who are not psycho, that isn't an injustice. Because I'm willing to bet that there's good cops that are like, dude, this sucks. Like, I can't do anything about it.
Point. All of these cops committing suicide are good people, because it's, they are dealing with, like, because I hate to say things like this, because I have no scientific proof of this, but, and then I'm going to sound like an idiot to like most of the people I know.
Fine, it's fine. This isn't an open dialogue. It's an independent thinking show. Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of the things I say are theories. These are just my thoughts, right?
No. But I say things with absolute certainty. And I am absolutely certain that this whole thing about killing other people it has to be ran by like demonic forces or evil, like because there has to be some sort of, because if it's true that God has no dominion over the carnal mind, and all of this stuff that we see in progressive ideology is 100% carnal. There is no, I mean, come on, think about it.
Wait, give me a second. Can I pause this for a second? I
Yeah.
just need to take this call real quick. Yeah, so what were you saying about the cop suicides and the religion? Like, I know that these are mostly good people we were talking about, right? But the problem...
So I believe, this is what I believe, that this honest to God is, and I was talking about why I don't want to say this because it's going to sound crazy. But this whole thing about cops killing everybody, progressive cities, this is, and I'm saying, let me say this first before I say what I said earlier.
Sure.
The reason, the facts behind what I have is just based on Romans. The whole thing about how God doesn't control the carnal mind.
Right.
And because of that, this has to be controlled by demonic forces. Has to be, because I just don't believe it's a part of human nature to just kill one another. Even if you don't believe in God or anything else, because, you know, a lot of atheists just don't kill each other. They just don't. But they love controlling other people. That's what atheists do. They love to control other people, which is probably why I'm so good at, you know, as they say, enhanced interrogation techniques. Seriously, I worked a lot in that, and I'm good at it. But why? Because, you know, I was an atheist. And that's what atheists do. They love to control others. They will never kill somebody, but they sure love to tell other people to kill on your behalf. It's like what they say, chicken hawks. But I honestly believe this is just has to be demonic forces. There has to, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I wish I had the research or something, but my gut is telling me that like the devil is real, but it wouldn't be the devil. This isn't the devil's work, because the devil, in theory, would be a good-looking dude, you know, charming your way into hell. But demonic forces like ugly-ass demons, like the way you see in the movies,
yeah,
I believe it has to be something like that, something ugly, something very powerful.
You're not wrong. That's all biblical. It's, you know, that's all very real. When you say demonic forces, because here's the thing. One of my pastors was talking about psychotic reprobates. All right. Now, these are, because it's like they have no remorse. They have no emotion. And some people have been conditioned to the point where they have no regard for human life, human beings, and there's no way to take them out of that. Like, they're just psychotic. Like, some of these serial killers, when you think of people like Ted Bundy, like, dude, something's wrong with you.
Sociopaths.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. Sociopaths have no remorse.
The way I know that you're not a sociopath, you're not psycho. You're not. You're actually, and you got to thank your Christian.
I have no remorse,
but you got no. You do because you got to thank your Christian parents for this. Because think about it, right? You value human life, and you may not have remorse in the sense like you don't care what people think, but you know it's wrong. You know that killing people is wrong.
But that's what makes you a social. You know it's wrong. I mean, I don't do it, but you know it's wrong, but you do it anyway. And that's what makes sociopaths so much more dangerous than a psychopath.
I think it's the other way around. It's psychopaths because those are cold and calculated, and you don't know they're crazy.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, you don't know they're crazy, but a psychopath doesn't know he's crazy. Where a sociopath knows it's crazy, you know, because they know the difference between right and wrong. A psychopath, they're crazy, and that's why they don't know it's wrong. Because there's like a lot of people that just want to see the earth burn. I mean, shit, there's that. I forgot
the Joker quote from The Dark Knight. Yeah, I mean,
no, but Tim Pool said he met some guy and he interviewed him. And he said he just wanted to see chaos. He wanted to see the earth burn, just like that's why he was working at Facebook or Twitter, because that's what he wants. He loves it.
I believe it.
But anyway, so I want to talk about demonic forces for a bit. Everybody knows, this isn't a secret, that the communists, who are all atheists, they wanted to infiltrate our schools. Why? Because everybody knows, everybody, I don't care where you're at. You could be in Israel. Everybody calls, like nobody ever calls Germany a Christian country. They just never do. Everybody thinks that Germany is like, oh, these guys are crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They might try to take over the world one day. Same thing with English people. They don't see, England as a Christian country. They just don't.
Right.
They see it as a monarchy and some kind of weird type of bastardization of Christianity. But everybody sees the United States as a Christian country. Everybody knows this. So on that note, the communists knew that you have to infiltrate the educational system where religion is taught at an early age, especially in the old black schools. I mean, they weren't taught Shakespeare. They were taught, parables for English. So if they can get all of that out, they can create a society that we are living in today. And that's basically what happened and they've been doing this since 1913. And it's been well over 100 years.
Yeah,
and
makes sense.
Now look, we went from having police officers, because you were right in your earlier assessment about police officers being a part of the community. Right. I'm not kidding you. I remember when as a kid, there was this one officer, Officer McGuffin, and I'll say his name. He was like an old school cop, man, and he was like a friend. Something was going down, because my family, they're not saints. But Officer McGuffin was not a judgmental dude. He was like a big giant white boy. I mean, I was short, so I was a baby. Not a baby, but I was like a young kid, like maybe first, second grade. And so this dude was a giant, to a little second grader. And, he'd come by the house, check up on us, just, hey, what's up? Or he'd play, baseball. I'm not kidding you. This big ass white boy would play baseball with us.
I believe it. Yeah.
In the corner lot. And, and dude, like everybody respected him. All the blacks, all the Samoans, everybody respected this dude because he would also go to the church. Like there was this Baptist church on the corner, and he'd go there. He'd go to the church, and he didn't even live in the neighborhood, but he still went to church. And he wasn't, when he was in church, he would dress up in a suit, and then he'd go change it to his cop uniform afterwards. You know what I mean? That's what he'd do. And oh man, but anyway, so I remember the old days when cops were honestly, everybody wanted to be a cop.
That was back in the days. Yeah, back in the old days.
No, it wasn't just because of Officer McGuffin, but it was just like, you want to be an astronaut, firefighter, police officer, even a mailman. You know what I mean? Like those are all respectable jobs. Now it's like, government employees, they suck ass.
Yeah.
But in the old days, those jobs were respectable. Like an astronaut, doctor, lawyer, all of those jobs were respectable. But now that the communists have successfully taken religious, I don't want to say religious, Christianity out of our schools, think about it. We know more about Islamic faith and the Jewish faith than they do of Christian faith in our schools today. They teach a lot about Ramadan and whatever that Jewish holiday is. I forgot what it's called.
Passover? No.
Yeah, Passover.
Or
no.
Hanukkah?
No, not Hanukkah. There's another one.
Man, I don't know anything.
Yeah. No, I don't know. But there's like one of them Jewish holidays. You know what I mean? And they know about, like, they deliberately teach about things like that, and they don't teach about Christianity because they just assume everybody knows it, which is not true. So because you got all of this, we don't know anything about Christian religion anymore. We don't know any of the parables, because I'm telling you, that parable of the guy, the Good Samaritan, the parable of the money changers, the parable of just a lot of these parables that Jesus was talking about with the Romans. Without that, our society is lost. And now that we're lost, guess who's not lost? Whatever demons allows police officers to, and this is the thing, a police officer who is scared, who is filled with fear, is going to open himself up into something that only Moses experienced. And it's, I mean, because you know, my math is a little fuzzy, but we're getting there. I'm getting there.
Mm-hmm.
The same way how Moses was able to travel, demons can also travel the same way. And I don't want to say possess, but they take over these people because it makes no sense. This, like, in any normal situation, this guy would probably know how to act and react because, you know, like I'm going back to the Vallejo police officer. If this dude was at, I automatically thought of something that's not true because there was a police officer who's off-duty police officer shot and killed somebody at Costco.
Right.
It was a retarded dude. Like, the dude was retarded, some big guy, and they were waiting in the food court, and the cop killed a retarded dude at Costco. You know, Mexican cop killed a Mexican retard.
Yeah.
You know, and so, but without that exception, I want to still make that my point. In a normal situation, but maybe this is proof that demonic forces are so entrenched into our society that this is what's happening now. Like 10 years ago, it's unfathomable to believe that a police officer is going to shoot and kill a random person over a dispute. But then, like I said, the Costco thing blows that theory. But maybe it's because demonic forces are so strong that it's even permeating into, that's the progression. First, you know, they make killing only in the line of duty.
Right.
Now killing is happening off the line of duty, where it's just okay. Hey, look, I'm threatened. I'm always going to be fearful. I'm always going to be afraid of everybody because I'm a cop. And that's the thing. Like, cops are afraid of society. They're afraid of all the people because in their mind, they have been trained to believe all people are bad and they have to protect the weak. But they're not protecting the weak. They have literally became the weak. They become the hunted, and they're being hunted by themselves, by their own demons. And because I'm telling you now something, okay, so this is why I'm making this a big deal. And I really wanted to focus on God and religion, is because in biology, everybody knows every animal, no matter how brainless they are, even if they're just a bunch of nerves, every animal on this planet has an instinctual will to stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
They will fight to stay alive. Any animal, any plant, everything that lives has a will to stay alive.
Right. Even babies in the womb, and we've seen that graphically.
God, I know. When you told me that, I was like, "Fuck, man!" Like, see, shit like that freaks me out, man.
I know. But see, that's why you're not psycho, because you feel something. Like,
no. I mean, you know, it ain't gonna make me cry, but dude, it's like it hits you in the gut. You're like, damn it, man! Like, that's like a special type of evil.
Yeah.
No, seriously, like that is. But anyway, oh man, I wish you didn't say that because it throws. You know what I mean? Because
no, I know. It's I feel you. I know what you mean. Yeah.
But the thing is like this: in order to kill yourself, that goes against every scientific, you know, book that we have about life. And shit, you just said it. Even babies in the womb with no life experiences even try to struggle for life. And it's insane. But here's the thing. The only answer I have for people who commit suicide, because it's amazing, because like we even got it down, like I even can predict when they're going to do it. When they feel good, when they feel happy, that's when they're going to do it, because they got the strength to kill themselves. But the thing is like this. I am convinced it is demonic forces that has to do it. And like, oh, there's no such thing. It's like, no, there is such a thing.
There is such a thing. Yeah.
No, because if God can take Moses and how he did it, and it aged Moses, these demons do this exact same thing. And it ages the mind. Because these people are living with God knows what. But I do know, like, the remorse is killing them. But yet somehow, some way, they can't shake that disease of going out there, pulling out their gun, doing it again. And instead of doing it again, they kill themselves. And because the thing is like this, how many police officers honestly suffer from PTSD? How many? Honestly, I don't even know. I don't think anybody really knows. But I'm telling you now, in the old days, in the 80s, 70s, 60s, because I don't want to say old days anymore, but from the 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, you would never see this in police officers, because police officers weren't just killing people. They weren't shooting people. They weren't using deadly force all the time.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't. I mean, they would have this stupid training video from the 60s, and this guy was coming, and then the cop was, hey, stop. And this guy had something in his hand, and his hand was out, and it was a car that says, hey, I'm deaf. I'm deaf. I need help.
I know. God.
That was like one of the old training videos, like, hey, not to shoot just because somebody's doing this. And now it's like, shoot, because you never know. But that's the thing. Progressives have been very, very, I don't want to say clever, but I can't think of any other word, but they have been very, very clever into making an entire society, especially the Christians, into believing that our police officers need to kill everybody because everybody's dangerous.
Right.
Criminals are not dangerous people. They are misguided people who are trying to get ahead. Seriously, that's what criminals are. Some criminals we respect and some criminals we don't respect. Like, Hollywood has like financial criminals, people who rob, like Robin Hood.
Yeah, and
like Robin Hood has been glamorized. So we love criminals that Johnny Depp played a gangster who was all about that. He'd kill only the bad people, but he would rob the banks. But you know what I mean? We glamorize those types of killers and other types of criminals like
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, but Hillary Clinton kills people. She does. It's without a doubt. She, you hate. I mean, she doesn't pull the trigger, like I said. She manipulates situations where people just die.
Well, yeah. I mean,
in her name,
Haiti is the big one, and then
but there's like specific people, like political opponents. Like you said, Haiti. How many people died in Haiti based on her actions? You know what I mean? And it's like I said, progressives love to manipulate societies into killing themselves or killing each other. That's what progressive ideology is. The biggest threat to Black people aren't police officers. It's themselves. Blacks will kill each other. Why? Because they're trained to do that way. They, brother versus brother, they kill each other like it's okay. No cop is going to kill a Black dude. It's a Black dude's going to kill another Black dude. It's just how it works. I mean, look at Chicago, Baltimore, any of these cities, Detroit. Blacks kill other Blacks. It's a myth that cops are going to kill them. And then I said, yeah, but you guys are talking about cop killing, and that's why they do it. Yeah, but cops don't go out there, I'm going to kill a Black dude. They go out there because they are trained to fear the public. They are trained to fear that their lives are always in jeopardy. But it's not true. The stats prove it. The demons have literally taken over. Oh my God, do I sound like Alex Jones at this point?
No, because I want to talk more about that, but you haven't read the New Testament, so I don't want to say it. Like, this is all real stuff. Like this, you're not lying. I believe in that, and you're not crazy. You're not Alex Jones, but it's the fact that you can deduce that from what limited of the Bible just makes me think that you should read the New Testament, but you're not wrong.
Well, see, but the thing is, physics also bears this to be true, because everybody knows that there is a multi-universes and things like, because it's
spiritual world, which is basically another dimension.
I'm telling you, it has to. Because I know like comic books have the infinite crisis on Earth and like all these different Earths. No, it's not like that, but there really has to be, because it's the only way time makes sense. because we are repeating ourselves, because there's no way the Bible, I mean, it has to be true. All that stuff in the Bible has to be true. And we are actually living, like, our universe is different. I mean, okay, so we are living in a second or third type of universe that God had made. So the universe from the first universe, second universes, is because, like, according to Genesis and Exodus, there's only, according to the Bible, there's only 3 universes, like, that are running parallel. And I think the demons from the first universe and the second universe are those have to be demonic forces. And for whatever reasons, and this is something I can't figure out, they have the ability to travel back and forth from this universe to this other universe that we can't see, because they are particles. So if you understand how particles move, those are actual demons. Seriously, those particles, because see, you know, they act like a wave. So when it's a wave, that's demon form of whatever it is they're trying to get us to do. And because look, according to the Bible, those people lost, and God gave us what we have now. So what we are living in now, God gave us that, and those demons have been cast aside. They weren't destroyed, but they live in an alternate universe, according to God, because God set back the day 24 hours and changed our entire universe. So, but he didn't kill so those people still exist. Those demons still exist. So I have to believe that to be true, because the math tells us it's true. But for whatever reasons, these guys can cross, like, I still, like, because they really don't get into what those other beings were. Mm-hmm. And so, but they have to be real. Like, why would they be gone? Why would they, stop existing? So, and we cannot see a lot of these parts. We just can't. Our eyesight is limited. Right. So because of that, those demons have to exist. They have to exist because God didn't eliminate them the way he eliminated everybody else on the floods. You know what I mean? So there is proof. That's why are the giants gone? God wiped them out. he wiped them out. He killed them off. Why are all the 6-day people gone? Well, because God created atmosphere and he wiped them out. Well, also only the whales existed.
Yeah, and the flood did that too,
Yeah, so whoever could serve, but it's the truth. That's literally what happened. God goes, you know what?
That's not even just if you believe the Bible or not. That's in recorded history too. So I don't know why people have a hard time believing the flood. Like,
yeah, no, but there's at least 50 different references from other cultures from around the world of the Great Flood. Yeah. At least 50. So it's like, come on. At some point, we have to admit that it actually happened. Because if you believe the ice, the ice age, we used to be one big ice planet, the water melted, and no matter what happens, there was a flood.
Yeah, and here's the deal, too. I know we're getting off topic from police suicides, but it's all related into this ideology. We have to wrap things up here. But dude, I looked into like Mount Vesuvius and like volcanoes and stuff. Dude, there's no way humans have weapons that are more powerful than volcanoes. Volcanoes are God's wrath. When they talk about fire and brimstone raining down from heaven, that's what happened to Pompeii. Like, I watched an animation, I'm like, dude, that's God's wrath right there. Like,
no, but it's the truth. All of our nuclear bombs combined, every single
not even in comparison to one of the strongest volcanoes, most dangerous. And Mount Vesuvius isn't even the biggest volcano on the planet. There are bigger volcanoes, and, like, literally when a volcano erupts, the sky turns black. Like, that's like not an exaggeration. Like, that's how much output of ash and soot and fire comes out. Because literally that molten lava that comes out, that's like the surface of the sun. That's what's coming out of a volcano. And there's earthquakes. When a volcano erupts, there's also earthquakes.
But you got to remember what you said is exactly true. The heat from that volcano is very near, those they call them sunspots, like black spots.
Yeah.
It's a lot cooler than the rest of the earth, but the volcano, the lava, is about as hot as that sunspot.
Yeah.
That's nothing we can produce can create that kind of heat. Not one thing.
Right.
It's insane. We try, but we cannot do it.
One volcano, Mount Vesuvius, buried cities within a 50-mile radius in like 20 feet of ash and soot.
Yeah.
Like that. There's no bomb that we have that does that. A 50-mile radius. Because here's the thing. You got nature, right? So the wind, actually, the atmosphere, because when the volcano erupts and people are like, why is there lightning? Well, it's because it's going up into the atmosphere. And that's what creates more fire. And it's kind of badass. But I looked into it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like volcanoes are no joke. Volcanoes are like literally like that. That is like Earth's way of reacting. Like, I'm serious. Like a volcano erupts.
And that's I'm glad you brought that up. But because but Jesus, like when you really think about our conceit, humans are conceited. Like, oh, we're so powerful. We don't got shit on nature. It's just the truth.
Yeah.
A big tree can fall on us. Like if a redwood tree falls, it will kill everybody underneath it. This is how it works. You know what I mean? And it's just boom, just like that. Nobody is that strong where in one blow you can kill 10 humans with one blow. But a tree can fall on you and it can kill 10, 20, 30 people, depending on how long that tree is. But anyway, but going back to, and the reason why I really wanted to tie this with Christianity is because the Constitution is literally based on Christianity and Christian principles. I just don't know enough about the New Testament to articulate it enough, but I know enough about the parables to understand search and seizure, why search and seizure is wrong. I can understand why prisons are wrong. I can understand why we shouldn't judge other people and try to help other people. I get it, but the one thing I'll say right now, to tie everything together, without God, without Christianity belief, suicides are off the charts on our police officers who are policing us.
Right.
Police officers are shepherds in theory, but they're not. And that's why I keep telling everybody, whoever's listening, I don't care. If you are a real Christian dude that understands the Bible, and I don't want, why I say dude and not woman is because women aren't built for this. They just aren't. A woman cannot do a policeman's job. Right. No woman can bench, and if a woman can, then shit, I guess she should be a cop. But if a woman can bench 305, 300 pounds, bench, squat 650, maybe 600, if a woman can do that, then by all means, let her be a cop. But it's not a woman's job. You know what I mean? Like women, they are too emotional to do this. Like a man's emotions can be tied into his orgasm. An orgasm is only like 4 or 5 seconds in a male. A woman's orgasm's minutes, and she feels the effects of that for weeks. With that feeling of love and blah, 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 blah. There's an attachment to that. Whereas men, their emotions, 3 or 4 seconds long. But they live with the nightmares of demons forever. And that's the difference. It's not like, a woman can be confused with a lot of demonic forces, but a man is built differently. And because his emotions are different, I believe they're better equipped, which is why Moses didn't die when he was with God.
Right.
He was messed up, but he didn't die. He was affected by it forever. And that same thing, demons can do the same things to people. They could affect you if you don't have it. Men are better equipped to shake off demonic forces than women. It's just those are just little biological differences. If a demon seduces a woman, she's done. And it's going to be very hard to get her out of it. I mean, I don't know, but just based on what I know of human physiology and physics and things like that, kind of makes sense. Yeah. So men need, I'll say it like this. The Christian people out there need to really understand this, because I don't want to sound crazy to anybody, but what we have to do is bring back Christian principles into our classrooms. How do you do that? By mandating constitutional, and I mean real constitutional understanding into our classrooms. And the best way to do it is through teaching parables. Seriously.
Mhm.
You know, on Sesame Street in 1969, they had some girl, some famous singer singing, "He got the whole world in his hands." I'm not kidding. That was on Sesame Street. It really was. And
I believe
everybody was
it.
singing, "He got you and me in his hands." You know what I mean? And that's actually a physics principle.
Right.
You know, like if you could understand something like that, then you could understand the basics of physics. Physics ain't that hard, actually. But it's crazy when you start breaking down like the stories in the Old Testament with physics. Like, whoa, this is actually true.
Right.
It works out. These things actually works out. But then the question is why? Why this? Why? Because, you know, the why is, can we honestly, this is what I'm gathering, because God doesn't want us to worship other gods and ourselves, and, you know, want us to only worship him. So, and that's why. The why is a test. Are we going to be worshiping ourselves? Are we going to believe that we are better? Because literally God got rid of everything for us. And the only reason why these demons come through is because of progressive ideology, which teaches us that we are gods. And as soon as we start believing we are godlike, the demons come right into your head or your heart or wherever it goes in through, maybe your ears, I don't know. But it makes these cops into killers. Yeah. And then when these cops kill or use deadly force, and they can't handle it because it just, look, thou shalt not kill is a real thing. Why? Because it destroys and rips your soul. There was this thing about Harry Potter, the building a Horcrux. When you kill somebody, you could rips your soul in pieces. And that guy, the head wizard, the evil wizard guy, did it 7 times. So he could split his soul and hide it in 7 different pieces so he could live forever. But only through evil can you do something like that. But there is some truth that killing somebody rips your soul. And I think that's probably one of the main reasons why I'm an atheist, because, you know, when we were young, got into a lot of massive fights. Like I said, one fight was so bad, 32 counts of attempted murder. And you have to shut your soul off in order to do what we used to do as kids. Because, you know what I mean? Like my boy, he's full like baseball swing with a machete, like a machete. And, you know, his intestines came right on out. And
about that.
You have to shut off your soul. Like it can't exist in order for you to live this way. But if you honestly have a soul and you feel remorse, there's no way you can live with yourself for doing something like that. You can't. I can, because I got no soul.
Yeah, we got to wrap this up, man. Do you have any final thoughts on it?
Yeah, those are my final thoughts. My final thoughts is like this, in this order. The Christian people need to rise, take over our education system, implant it with curriculum that teaches the Constitution and parables, so that way it doesn't go against the First Amendment. You teach God through parables, not God, Jesus. You got to teach Jesus or Christianity, well, no, Jesus philosophy through parables. Right. You got to teach us parables that are in whatever parables are in the New Testament. You have to incorporate that into our education. You know, but you don't have to use the word Jesus, just whatever. And then after that, we will have better cops, and our cops have to have some sort of spiritual guidance. They really do. The ministers, and it has to be done for free. The preachers, the ministers have to go and mentor our police officers, because they are our shepherds. They're shepherds. Right. Our priests are our shepherds, in theory. And then our cops need mentoring. So whoever's listening, they need to start a Christian ministry and teach the Constitution to these cops who take an oath to uphold the Constitution, yet they know nothing about it. You know, they're not required to read the Constitution. Not one cop. Well, okay, I'll say it like this. 95% of all police officers have never read the Constitution. 5% have read it, And out of that 5%, very little understand it.
Well, that's why people that's why they take away our rights, because they don't know.
Dude,
They don't
take away our rights because they don't want you to believe in God. It is the greatest hoax to ever be done. For people to believe that there is no God, it's the greatest, even greater than Martin Luther King. That's the greatest hoax, is taking God out of everything. Oh, God doesn't exist. Why would a God need to take attendance? Why would a God need money? See, the reason why for tithing, it isn't for God himself, it's for us, because the leaders are mentoring. So when you tithe, that tithing money will allow a preacher or whoever to go and mentor these cops for free.
Right.
That's what tithing's for. Not, it doesn't go to God. Like, it's not like God's hoarding money.
No, it's for the church. It's for the community. It's for you to build.
Yeah, exactly. But that's like, because a lot of atheists will say shit like that. Oh,
True.
So these guys can buy jet planes and fly around. And I was like, no. Those aren't real biblical people. Those aren't real Christians. Those are just pretenders. Like MLK Jr., was he a real? Nah, probably not. He didn't spend a lot of time mentoring people to be shepherds over the real weak people. But anyway, so those are my final thoughts. And I hope people are, we woke people up to police suicides being a real thing. Those are the solutions. The solution is, and always, I hate to say this because then our show is going to be like redundant, because I had no more show because it's just turn to Christ and that's the answer to everything. But it actually kind of is.
Right.
But it's not like, but we have to understand what is the purpose of tithing. What is the purpose of, like, why give money to God? You're not giving it to God. He don't need your money. But look, I don't have time to be mentoring cops because, I'll probably beat them up or something. Like, I can't do it. I'm an angry, angry dude. So, and because of that, I have to give money to somebody to do it in my behalf because I know it's right. I probably need some kind of counseling, but you know what I mean? But it's the truth. Certain people cannot do it. And that's why we honestly have to find real leaders and just back them financially. So that way they can get things done.
Yeah.
But either way, those are my final thoughts on that police suicide thing. But remember, 159 cops were killed by suicide last year, and all of the deaths, 52 with gunfire, 17 with heart attacks, 8 with vehicular assaults. All of that combined doesn't equal to all the suicide deaths.
Right.
So remember, the demons are running wild on our cops, just running wild. And they are more likely, 3 times more likely to die of suicide than they are by a black dude holding them up. So, I'm telling you now, this whole thing is a myth. Black on black crime is real. The cops ain't killing blacks and blacks ain't killing cops. It's not as so dangerous as people think it is. What's dangerous is not having, like, seriously, I didn't realize the difference from growing up and having, like, because, dude, it was easy to be a thug when everybody's a Christian. You know what I mean? But now that everybody's not a Christian, dude, it is deadly to be a thug now.
Yeah.
Seriously, because the thugs are killing each other. The cops are killing themselves. It's insane. It's mass. It's like, this is real mass. And I mean, we are in a mass crisis without Christianity. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, we'll dive into it further in later episodes. This is something that, by no means is over. But thank you guys for listening to the show. Be sure to tune into the following episodes next week. Leave a review on iTunes if you haven't done so already. And we'll see you guys soon. Take care.